Below the Bar podcast is not meant to be taken as legal advice. It is purely used for entertainment purposes. Corbin and I are not attorneys. In fact, we haven't even graduated law school yet.
We don't even know if we're going to graduate.
We don't even know if we're going to graduate. That's scary. So if you have any legal concerns, please, I urge you guys to seek an actual attorney. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this episode, and that's all I have to say. Hi guys, welcome to Below the Bar podcast. My name is Drew, and with me as always is my co-host Corbin.
How's it going?
Today we got a good one, guys. We're talking about Palsgraf. Hallmark torts case. Everybody reads about it. It's a really important one. I think it's about time we talk about a case of this magnitude.
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because just the other day I was reading an article, and it was posted on a Facebook page, but it was talking about how there might be a new Palsgraf. I'll tell you about it after we go through it.
Okay, I'd love to hear that, yeah.
So you can see like
a new Palsgraf.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because this case has a pretty wild fact pattern here. So, all right, Palsgraf, for those of you that I don't know, it's also a tort law case, which we discussed with Garrett v. Daly. Tort law is, a civil wrong that somebody can recover for when they're injured by that wrong. So it's a very rough explanation of what a tort is, I know. But we're talking about negligence here today, and the elements of negligence are going to be burnt into your memory if you've taken a torts class. You're going to know this for the rest of your life. Yep. It's duty, breach, causation, and injury or damages. So you have to have a duty, and then there's a breach of that duty, and then there's an injury that is caused by that breach of that duty. So Palsgraf deals with negligence. And
I love this case, and I know we've talked about it a little bit, but everything had to have happened so perfectly wrong for this case to happen.
Dude, this was ridiculous. You couldn't have written this for a movie. This is Three Stooges-esque, honestly.
For real. And if she was 10 feet to the left or right, she would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I guess we should probably tell them.
Old Helen. Was that her name, Helen?
Helen, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, am I just naming Palsgraf now? So, yeah.
Helen.
So, all right, so let's get into it then. So, this case, oftentimes I think in torts class, it's used to illustrate causation, proximate cause, which is the third element of negligence. Now, causation is broken down into two different types of causation. You have proximate and actual cause. And as I said, this case, I feel is typically used to illustrate proximate cause.
Yeah.
Though reading it again and, the more research I did, it seems to me to be at least more of a case regarding a duty. Does the defendant owe the plaintiff a duty?
Right, yeah. I think Cardozo, who wrote the opinion, he leaned a lot on whether train station
had this duty.
Right.
Yeah. And Cardozo writes some wild opinions. His language is just crazy. I love reading them. They can be really difficult to read sometimes, but they're good.
So basically what happened in this case was good old Helen. She was at the train station and just waiting for her train. And while she was waiting, this guy was carrying a box, and the box was covered with newspaper, and he was running to jump onto the train. I believe as it was getting ready to pull away or something.
Yeah, which... You remember in elementary school, Valentine's Day, you'd make this shoe box, and you'd cover it with a bunch of garbage and then put the slit in it, and people drop this little, those trashy little Valentine's Day. I just think he's running with that. Right. That's what I imagine.
This little box.
Yeah.
And I also I just think of, it's black and white. It's like the 50s.
Real life was black and white in the 50s.
Right, that's just how I see it.
No, this was the 20s, man.
I know. I'm just saying, I just picture this scene all happening in black and white.
Oh, okay.
This guy is running to catch the train. He has somewhere very important to be.
Yeah. I don't even think black and white was invented in the 20s. I think it was just,
I have no clue, to be honest. So he goes to jump on this train, and one of the train station's attendants helps to push him on the train, while another one helps to pull him onto the train. And while doing all of that, he drops his box. Well, the box was full of fireworks, just covered with newspaper. And I forget, they were big. The fireworks were like very...
Dude, I saw somewhere, I actually have it here. It was 18 inches long and 4 inches in diameter. That's a bomb.
Yeah, it's like...
Okay. That's...
So anyway, he drops this box and it causes an explosion. And the explosion knocks down this massive scale, which tips over and lands on Helen.
Yeah, the scale was pretty far away, too. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it was right there.
No, it's like... I forget how far they were away.
But it sent shock waves, man.
Right, yeah. And she was, like, really injured. She talked with a stutter for the rest of her life, like, psychological damages.
Yeah.
So then Helen basically says that Long Island Railroad, which is the train station that she was at, basically breached this duty that was owed to her, and it was their fault because the guy pushed him onto the train.
Yeah, so they're saying, I guess in essence, to tie this up into a neat little package, that Long Island Railroad had a duty to not injure her in that manner, to act with the requisite care in boarding passengers in the train.
I mean, it is a little bit ridiculous, like... You can't just go around blowing up your customers.
Right, yeah.
So
I mean, this sounds like this guy was on a mission. He had somewhere to go. And this is a 20, so I just feel like it was one of those, like that black ball with the wick on top. Like it was one of those.
It's always burning.
Yeah, so they had this duty to, use due care and assisting passengers onto this train. They breached that when they threw this man onto a moving train, which is hilarious. He dropped this 4th grade art project and it exploded. Okay, so that was said to be the causation. Okay, I'm doing air quotes right now like anybody can see that. It sent the shockwave. It knocked over the scale. It hit Helen. She was injured. So therefore, all the duties of negligence are met, right?
Right.
But
no.
No. So we have Cardozo. He writes this opinion. And as we said earlier, he writes all these really flowery opinions. And they can be a nightmare to read. But they're also a blast to read.
Is insane.
Yeah. So Cardozo says no, that Helen was not owed a duty in the first place. So the analysis, he's stopping right there. They didn't even owe a duty to Helen.
Right. And he doesn't owe that duty because of the proximate cause, because there was no way that they could have known. Right.
It was so far removed. We're going to get into something that he deems the zone of danger, I believe it is. Yeah, the danger zone. Yeah, so we'll get into that. So Cardozo says no, there was no way for the employees to know of the magnitude of what was about to happen. Of course, you're not going to think bomb in a box.
It's not my first thought when I see somebody.
Right. And if it is, I mean, you got some deep-rooted issues that need sorted out. So this is the zone of danger Cardozo is talking about. He comes right out and he says that the situation that occurred in relation to Helen was not negligence at all when she was standing that far away.
Right.
She was not in this zone of danger.
It's honestly really impressive to me that Palsgraf made it all the way to the Court of Appeals in New York, which is the highest court in New York. Like, she won the first 2 cases, and then the Long Island Railroad had to appeal to the Court of Appeals in New York. Like, that's insane to me. So many people thought, yeah, I get that.
I also read Cardozo's opinions in a thick New York accent.
Yeah, you have to.
Even though I don't know that he had that. I'm sure he did. Yeah, so he comes right out. Yeah, he says no duty. There's no negligence here. She was not even a foreseeable plaintiff, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, she was so far away.
Yeah. I mean, and he goes back to say later that if anybody owed the duty to her, or if anybody was liable, it was the man with the bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we say bomb, but...
I mean, a firework bomb. I mean, guys, we're just going to interchange this too. It's a bomb, okay? So, yeah. Cardozo says he delivers this, I like to call these Cardozisms. I'm adding that to the dictionary. He says, one who jostles one's neighbor in a crowd does not invade the rights of others standing at the outer fringe when the unintended contact casts a bomb upon the ground. The wrongdoer as to them is the man who carries the bomb, not the one who explodes it without suspicion of the danger. So just as you said, if anyone owed a duty,
it's the guy with the bomb.
It's the bomb carrier.
And I don't know about you, but like, I often jostle my neighbors around.
Always.
At concerts.
Yeah.
Well, when you can go to concerts.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Oh, my neighbors in real life. Terrence, the guy who lives behind me, like, hey, Terrence. And I just jostle him around. We giggle. It's good times.
And then somebody across the street gets blown up with a bomb.
And we're,
you're free.
We're free because it's just so far removed. Anyway. So the package had there was no indication that this package contained fireworks. As you said, it was wrapped in newspaper.
Right, yeah, it was just newspaper laying on top of a box.
Yeah.
It's such a strange, like I said, everything had to have happened perfectly for this case. If she was 20 feet to the left, if he wasn't carrying a bomb on a train, and also if he didn't have to jump to get onto the train.
Yeah, like that's just crazy right there. Jumping onto a moving train. Every movie that involves a train that will have a scene where somebody's running to catch a moving train and they jump on.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the whole black and white picture pops into my head.
It's very Hollywood.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, also, Helen, can we just say this? Don't stand under maybe don't watch your surroundings.
If anyone's liable for this,
it's Helen.
It is.
Let's not victim blame. I'm sorry, Helen. If you're still around, there's no way.
Absolutely. No
Helen's
way.
family, the Palsgrafs. So, yeah, the package had no indication that there was fireworks. The railroad employee would have no reason to believe that this package hitting the ground would cause an explosion. That's just bananas. Like
it is. It's like this case is just perfect all around.
It's kind of the worst Rube Goldberg machine ever made in history.
Have you seen that Family Guy episode where he's like, "Oh, I built one of those to like pour his cereal or something like that," and then it ends up just being a gun tied to a balloon that shoots him in the arm. Yeah,
that's good.
That's this case.
This also reminds me of the game Mousetrap. Did you ever play that game?
Mousetrap,
dude? You had to buy like 8 of them to have all the pieces because no matter there was always missing a piece.
Yeah, one of your cousins came over and broke a piece.
That or I swear to God, man, I've purchased a brand new Mousetrap, opened it up, and there's missing pieces.
Yeah,
it's a scam. We're on to you, Milton Bradley.
Yeah, so I mean, we really went over everything that had to do with this case and why they said that the railroad did not owe a duty. I think that's pretty reasonable. No one could foresee any of that happening, in my opinion. The bomb having to get pushed onto a train, a massive scale falling because of the bomb.
Right.
Like, all of those things alone wouldn't happen very often, let alone that they all happened because of each other.
Yeah. It was so far removed from the zone of danger. It was not foreseeable. Right. Yeah. So that's the gist of it. I mean, we can say that 100 different ways, but that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. But that case that I was telling you I was reading about the other day, a Tesla was auto driving itself at like 100 miles an hour and it crashed and it sent batteries flying throughout the neighborhood. And one of the batteries landed in a house and caught the house on fire.
Wait, like car batteries or like AA battery? Like,
no, I don't know. I mean, like car batteries. I don't know exactly how Teslas work.
Yeah.
But
how many batteries?
Whenever it crashed, all of the batteries that are in the engine or whatever launched out. And one of them like went into a house and caught it on fire.
Wouldn't that be funny if you opened a Tesla hood and there was just like 30 AA batteries in there?
Or those D batteries.
Like a mouse on a wheel. Yeah. No, so that's pretty wild. The new Palsgraf. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to turn out or anything like that. But it's interesting.
Imagine telling that to your insurance company. This car battery just...
I was sitting in my living room and a car battery flew across the neighborhood into my house.
Right into my window.
But, yeah.
There's one more thing I want to touch on before we end this episode, guys, and that's real quick. It's just Andrew's dissent in this case. I don't know if you...
Like your dissent?
My dissent, yeah. I was there in 1920 8. What is going on in the 1920s, by the way? I'm just trying to set the scene here. I know we should have done this in the beginning, but, Helen's sitting there. There's probably, like some dirty little kids selling newspapers and...
Newsies.
Yeah, newsies, yeah. And, some mobsters. I don't know what... that guy with the weird eye from Gangs of New York. I don't know what was going on in New York in the 20s, but...
I don't know.
Strange. That's neither here nor there. It's just a side note. Andrew's Dissent. So he kind of took this. I believe he was saying that this was a proximate cause issue. This was not a duty issue. Justice Andrews saw this as a causation issue. He said that if the defendant can foresee harm to anyone, then a duty is owed to every person harmed as a proximate cause of breach. So basically this whole duty to the whole world thing.
Yeah, and that's insane to me.
Yeah, I think
every decision you make, like if that held up, every decision you made, you'd have to think of every single possibility.
Yeah, and that's just too much to go through in the moment. Yeah.
Throwing trash away and somebody 10 hours later slips on it.
I think that would open... I mean, I get where he's coming from because it would be nice to think all of your actions through down to every little possible minute consequence that could happen. But holding that high of a standard, I think, would just flood litigation. And
it would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, people would be suing... I mean, people already sue for everything. And this would just be even more so. I just don't think it would be...
It would make it so easy for people to just claim negligence or whatever they wanted to claim.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Palsgraf, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Anything else you wanted to add, Corbin?
No, not really. I mean, we say this every time, but if you have cases you want us to do, send them over to Below the Bar Podcast on Instagram. And other than that, I think that's pretty good for this episode.
Yeah, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and we also use TalkShoe as our host, so you can also check it out on there.
And I think we're going to have YouTube. We're going to try to do YouTube here pretty soon once we can get it all set up.
Yeah, we want to get on every platform to kind of just expand our potential audience. So, just look for it everywhere, guys. We'll keep posting, and hopefully you guys keep listening. And thanks again for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next time.